down for about an hour. I then left the gauze in my mouth for the next 3 or 4 hours. Now, you will swallow a little castor oil, but that's okay. Nothing happens. Just so you have an idea of how bad it was, it literally looked like I had a golf ball sticking out of my cheek. It was already coming out the side of my mouth. Within 3 days, it was gone. The swelling was gone. The pain was gone. I went back to the endodontist 2 weeks later. He took a look, took out the packing, and said to me, as bad as it was the last time, he said, that's how good it is this time. Finished off what he had to do, and he walked out of the room without asking me what I had done. This time, though, he didn't roll his eyes. Another treatment that you can use castor oil, which I've seen very successful over the years, is for women who have fibroids, ovarian cysts, and we're talking non-cancerous here. And I just want to add an aside here. I am not a physician. I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe. What I'm doing here is just giving you my experience using the remedies, and I've been using them for over 40 years. With the ovarian cysts, you would take the castor oil pack, put it over the same area, the abdomen, chest, from here down, and use the castor oil pack. In addition to that, we now add 2 other treatments. Now, you would use the pack for 4 nights, and then we would use these 2 products. One is called etomidine, which is iodine trichloride, and one is called alkathyme. The original product was glycothymoline. The heritage store where most of these products come from, what they did is they used the same formula, but they took out the red food dye. So you now have alkathyme, which is the same product that Cayce recommended. What you do is you take a teaspoon of the etomidine, put it in a quart of water, and you'll douche with this. You'll take a tablespoon of the etomidine the next evening, the next time you use it, and douche with this. You'll alternate for 4 nights, not doing it at the same time that you're doing the castor oil packs. You'll do this and then the castor oil packs after. You'll do that for 4 nights, off for 3 days, and that'll be the cycle until you're healed, until they're gone. And I've had very, very successful results with this. I've had friends who've had ovarian tumors the size of grapefruits that have disappeared. If you have an abscess, my brother-in-law had a polynodal cyst in his back. And I picked him up at the airport, and the story was there were 2 physicians there. One was a pediatrician, one was an internist, and they asked me to stop off at a drugstore because they wanted to pick up a scalpel. They were going to lance it. And I winced while I was driving them from the airport, and I asked him if he wanted to try something else, which he said he did. And we went home. I took a gauze, I soaked it in castor oil, warmed it up, put it right on the cyst, and within about 20 minutes with the heating pad, it popped. And there was blood and pus all over it. And that was the last time he had pain. He kept, for the next month, he kept a little piece of gauze with tape on the cyst, and if you went to look at his back now, you wouldn't even know that it was there. Now, also key, if you get any bodily fluids on the pack, throw it away. And I would also just use the pack for 1 person. And over the years, what I think would be a good idea, after about a month of using the pack, throw it away and make a fresh one. If you're using it for 4 weeks, because it's absorbing poisons, toxins that are coming out of your body, and I would throw it away after about a month. When you want to clean off the oil, and also, very important, when you use the pack, put a piece of plastic underneath you. Whether we use a tablecloth, a plastic tablecloth, because the oil soils and it's very hard to get off. Also, when you're using the packs, it's very important that you don't read a Stephen King novel at the same time. It should be something spiritual, something that puts you in the right frame of mind. And the other saying that you'll see frequently with the Cayce readings is to be persistent and consistent. Don't just do it once in a while and expect to get miraculous results, even though that happens sometimes. It was very important to do it the way he said, and do it in cycles. So that I've seen really, really helpful over the years. Now, it was also a cure for epilepsy. Cayce would say that there was a cold spot in the intestine, and he would say that the castor oil pack was a very important part of that treatment. There's also something called passion flower fusion, but the main treatment that you'll see over and over again in the readings are castor oil packs. Now, another treatment that the castor oil packs have been used for, and now I'm going to bring in another pack because they were used in conjunction, but I think it'll be very helpful for a lot of the people that are watching the show. It was part of the treatment for carpal tunnel syndrome, part of the treatment for arthritis, part of the treatment for anything having to do with tendons, ligaments, sprains. If you sprain your ankle, you're good. If it's really a bad sprain, you may be on crutches for about 4 to 6 weeks. If you use a pack, you may be walking again within 48 hours, if not sooner. The younger you are, the better and faster the results. Now, if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, and many times you'll see people walking around with those braces and all sorts of different contraptions, and I've had people at workshops and they tell me we've been to, I've had acupuncture, I've gone to orthopedists, and now we have to do surgery. And they're trying to do something before they get to that point. And again, very successful results if you do it the way he said to do it. Again, let's say you had carpal tunnel syndrome in your hands. You could take a white sweat sock and soak it in castor oil, and that would be your pack. You would keep it on for an hour, hour and a half. The next day, you would make a new pack. Now, the new pack, you would use apple cider vinegar, and Bragg's happens to be my favorite, although in the readings he actually mentioned Heinz. You would make a saturated solution using apple cider vinegar and salt. Apple cider vinegar and salt. You'd put it in a little pan, keep pouring in salt until it's saturated, until you don't have any more of the salt dissolving. Then you would take the other sock, put it in the pot so that it soaks up the vinegar and salt, and the next night you would stick your hand in that. Again, using a plastic bag and a heating pad on top. With both packs, we have heating pads. During the day, you would use a product called Egyptian oil. The main ingredient in Egyptian oil is peanut oil. If you had nothing else, you could just use plain old peanut oil, which he said heals the muscles, the tendons, and ligaments. It was also in the readings for people who had torn tendons or ligaments. Now, if you do that treatment, you should see results within 3 or 4 days. It should start to feel better. With this woman who used it, she was a secretary, she couldn't even ring a bell, use the typewriter. Within a month, her carpal tunnel syndrome was gone, and she had been scheduled for surgery. I've also used it for people with water on the knee. I used it with my son when he fractured his ankle. That was another story where I got a call to pick him up at the school. He'd been playing soccer. My wife and I got there as they were wheeling him into the ambulance. Went to the hospital, took the x-rays, and he had a fracture on the small bone on his right ankle. They put a cast on. The next day we went to another orthopedist and they put a fiberglass cast on. And my son had seen me do a lot of things with him over the years, and he was in a lot of pain. And he asked me if I could do anything. So what I did that second night is I took off the fiberglass cast and I put a castor oil pack around it. The castor oil pack, I didn't put a sock on it, I just used, it was like a washcloth. His ankle was so tender that just almost touching it, he was almost hitting the ceiling. And it looked like there was a grapefruit in his ankle. Kept that on the whole night. The next morning, the swelling was completely gone. We then used the vinegar and salt, the Egyptian oil, and 4 weeks later, I went to a different orthopedic